Hello, and welcome to your yoga and astrology. We're going to focus on the full moon that is happening in Virgo. So, we want to kind of explore well, what does a full moon mean for us, or how does that symbolically manifest in our lives, and how do the Virgo energies look for us, and what is the archetype that shows up in our lives through a Virgoan lens. So full moons are culminations. So I think of them like, what have we sown? What have we put in the soil of our lives that will come to manifest? So in Virgo, I look at it as that winter season. What have we sown over the winter? What have we taken into account and put effort into during the winter, so that as the next new moon cycle comes around, which is Aries, that spring cycle, what is going to bloom from that, or what will we cultivate from that? And then Virgo, the archetype of Virgo is really grounded, very particular, but also practical, where what we do has purpose. There's not something that we're doing that is done with half of a spirit, right? We're doing with deep purpose, articulation, and often we'll get caught up in perfection. But this is really more about divine following and divine order rather than that perfection, right? And so how can we move in our bodies today on our mat that feels very grounded, very purposeful, also very particular, but like with purpose? Virgo also is very often focused on health. So how can we be our most healthy selves? How can we treat this body as the temple that it is? How can we move in a way not only on the mat but also off of the mat in a way that truly embodies this temple concept, that the body is to be revered? It is our vehicle for enlightenment, as the Buddhists would say. So I hope that you enjoy this. This is going to be much more of a slow pace and very practical. It's going to have purpose and grounding. And I think by the end of this practice, you're going to feel that full moon energy coming to light in your body, on your mat. And then you can choose what you want to take off of your mat from there. So let's begin. We're gonna want some blocks or books or whatever you use as support systems. I'm going to lift my hips up. I don't actually know where my meditation pillow is anymore. I feel like it got hijacked by my kiddos, but where, I don't know. They have a magical way of making things disappear, which actually, a really wonderful story or a myth that relates to the Virgoan energy is Persephone and Demeter. So Demeter is Persephone's mom, and they're out in this field of flowers, and Persephone has her maids with her, some other girls with her friends, her like besties, right? And they're picking these beautiful flowers. And Hades sees Persephone. Hades is also Pluto. So in Virgo, there is a much deeper lesson than what I think we automatically see on the surface. So Hades sees Persephone and he's like, oh my gosh, I gotta have this woman because she is hot, right? And so he opens the earth up and engulfs Persephone into his embrace, into his realm. And Demeter hears of this and she is beside herself. I mean, she just lost her daughter and she's like, somebody better tell me where and who took my daughter. Nobody would say a word. Nobody would say anything. So the reason that we have Virgo at that fall season, according to the myth, is because then Demeter refused to let anything bloom. She sort of brought in that winter season, that season of death, through her grief and her mourning. So eventually the story goes on, and you can definitely YouTube and look this up on your own because it can be quite elaborate. But we're going to simplify this. Eventually this goes on, where Persephone is then allowed to come above ground for 6 months and then has to go back down for 6 months or something along those time frames. And so that's why we have summer and we have winter. It's really cool. I love the way that all of the astrology and the myths really, truly, if we start looking around, are archetypes for the everyday life that we live. All right. Settle in if you haven't already. And maybe you've already been holding your legs in one position, so you might now want to switch them out to keep balance in the body. Because that's also another thing that is important with Virgo, is just keeping that balance. We want to really keep the balance of what we're sowing to what we're reaping. Let those shoulders drop down. If you're comfortable and safe, let the eyes close. Let the breath lift the heart towards the head as you inhale. Let the ribs expand, creating space. And as you exhale, let everything drip a little deeper into a state of surrender. Become the observer of all that you are experiencing in this space that you're occupying. Let the mind start to settle into focus on the breath. Realizing that we have nowhere else to be but right here, right now. In this very moment, and nothing else exists outside of this moment. We try to convince ourselves that everything is existing beyond right here and right now. But if you reach out to touch the future, or you reach back towards the past, you will find nothing to grasp onto. And so the moment that the mind starts to wander away from the focus of the breath, inhale and exhale, gently coax it right back to this present moment. And just as the full moon brings us into a space of completion, a cycle ending, we can look at our breath as that same cycle. The inhale starts the cycle, and the exhale brings us into a full circle. And somewhere in between the beginning and the ending, you'll notice there's a small pause between the breaths. And in that pause, there's silence, emptiness, nothingness. And if you can let your awareness linger on those pauses, you'll also see that there is limitless potential in that space right before what is and right after what was. We have a doorway. That leads us into limitless possibility. And it's all found right here, right now. And so as we're closing out a cycle with the full moon, in that space between the breaths, can you visualize where you would like to go for the next moon cycle? What can you let go of during the full moon so that you can embrace more? And how can you use the Virgoan archetype in a way that brings practicality and purpose behind your ambition? Not striving for perfection, but striving for authenticity and a deeper grounding. Standing rooted in the direction that you want to be facing. So set your intention here for this full moon, this culmination, this letting go of, so that you can embrace more of what you desire, of what will step by step put you in the right path to your goals, your dreams, your passions, what you love. On your next inhale, if the eyes were closed, let's go ahead and open them now. I'm going to remove my block from below me, and you can do so too, or you can keep sitting up. Once again, I'm going to switch out the direction of my feet to keep that balance in the body. Go ahead and drop the right ear down to the right shoulder. Take that right hand to the outside of the left side of the head. It's just gentle pressure, nothing crazy, not trying to force, but just allowing an organic lengthening from the left shoulder up to the left ear. Fill the lungs up with your inhale, and on exhale, release that right hand down and roll the chin along the chest until that left ear comes over to the left shoulder. Take that left hand to the outside of the right side of the head. And again, just gentle pressure. Allow that left ear to sink a little deeper. The right side of the neck to lengthen a little longer. Inhale and fill up the lungs. And as you exhale, release that left hand down and roll the chin along the chest until it comes to the center. Clasp the hands behind the head. Bring the elbows in towards one another. And again, just very gentle pressure. Tuck that chin deeply into the chest and breathe. Let the inhale fill up your lungs. And as you exhale, hands are going to come back down. Lift that head up. Clasp the hands behind you. Squeeze the fists towards one another. Squeeze the elbows towards one another. And I'll lift those fists up towards the sky. Squeeze the shoulder blades and puff the heart forward. As you exhale, round through the spine and bring the forehead down towards the mat, even if it doesn't touch. Inhale, bring it back up. Puff that heart forward, lift the chin gently. And exhale, round everything. Forehead down towards the mat. Inhale, rise back up. And let's take a gentle twist with the right hand to the outside of the left thigh, left fingertips back behind you. Gaze over the left shoulder. Inhale to lengthen that spine, and exhale, use the core to twist you just a little deeper. Bring yourself back through center. Left hand to the outside of that right thigh, right fingertips back behind you. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, gaze over the right shoulder. And bring it back through center. Inhale. We're going to bow forward, this time without the hands clasped. Forehead down towards the mat. And then inhale, round yourself up. Really exaggerate this round. Head will be the last thing to lift. Exhale, bring yourself forward, another bow. And inhale, round yourself back up. Lift the shoulders up to the ears, drop them down. Up to the ears, drop them down. And one more time, up and down. Take that left leg and extend it out to the side. Bring the right sole of the foot to the inner left thigh without twisting the torso towards the left leg. Take the left hand inside or on top of that left thigh and reach the right arm up and over. Maybe you grab for those left toes. Now purposely push that right hip back down towards the mat so that you get as much length as you can from the top of that right hip up through the right armpit, out through the right fingertips. Really let that breath take you into depth here. Not holding on to anything except the movement of release that the breath sends you into on exhale. On your next inhale, keep the body where it's at, but lift that right arm up and then send it back behind you. Reach the right fingertips far away from the body. Use the left fingertips to guide the head back up through center. And then exhale, send the right leg out to the side. Left knee bends, left sole of the foot comes to the inner right thigh. Take that right arm either on top of the thigh or inside of the thigh. Left arm reaches up and over. Now we really want to push down with that left hip. Completely let the head dangle. Let go of any effort that you're holding on to that's not necessary. And breathe into release here. Often through a full moon ritual, we let go of those things that are not serving us or are not necessary for going forward into the next moon cycle. Keep the body right where it's at. Lift the left arm up and reach that left hand back. And so 2, to get deeper into our bodies on the mat, through conscious movement, through the asanas, we have to be able to identify where we need to let go of that's not necessary to move us into the shape that we are using to move the energy around. Take those right fingertips to the head and use them to help you lift that head all the way back through center. Bring both soles of the feet towards one another. And then grab around the foot, thumbs inside of the arches of the foot, and start to press the thumbs into the arch of the foot. Give yourself a little foot massage here. Remember, groundedness through Virgo energy, right? But often we forget about the feet being that which really holds us up, grounds us, pushes us against the ground so that we can move in the direction we want to move in. So give some love to those feet, small little circles with the thumbs, pressure here, pressure there. We also have energy lines that run through the bottom of our feet. And creating that pressure helps to kind of like rejuvenate them. You know, they're never really sleeping. They could be out of balance. But we want to give some attention just to rejuvenate here. One more inhale. And then exhale, find yourself rounding forward, bringing the forehead down towards the feet. Maybe they touch, maybe they do not. Inhale, bring it back up. Small undulations. I like to hold around my ankles. And exhale again, bring it down. One more time, up. Lift up out of the spine here, out of the hip sockets, crown of the head all the way towards the sky, shoulders away from the ears. Puff the heart just a little bit. And then let's meet on the top of our mat in a forward fold. Feet about hip width distance. We're going to take a generous bend to the knees so that the belly can rest against the thighs. And then take a hold of either elbow and just find a nice little pendulum movement here. Sway side to side. Hug the low belly in and up and really find yourself completely releasing over the tops of those thighs. On your next inhale, stillness. Take your exhale here, lift the hips towards the sky. And now, with that bend to the knees, strengthen through the legs as you start to rise up vertebra by vertebra. Really push down through the heels to engage the glutes. Head will be the last thing to rise. Mountain pose, bring those shoulders down the spine away from the ears, step the toes together. We want you to lift the kneecaps, but don't lock the knees out, and then slightly drop that tailbone down. Crown of the head reaches straight up to the sky, and palms face forward. On your next inhale, arms come overhead. Go ahead and grab a hold of that left wrist with the right hand. Reach that left arm up and out of the socket of the shoulder and then over to the right. Push the left hip out. Ground down through the right foot. Rotate that left shoulder a little bit more to the sky so you're not caving in on the heart. Inhale back through center. And exhale, grab a hold of that right wrist with the left hand. Reach that arm up out of the shoulder socket. And exhale over to the left. Pump that right hip out, ground down through the left foot, and rotate the right shoulder a little higher to the sky. Inhale back through center, and exhale, find yourself in a forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Let your movements be slow and juicy. Almost like you're squeezing the juice out of an orange. So you're hugging all of your muscles and you're moving with particular focus on articulation of every body part that's necessary to accompany the movement. Go ahead and fold nice and slow. Let the breath send you deeper. And as you inhale again, find that purposeful, particular movement that articulates the spine as it comes into a flattened shape from a rounded shape. One more time. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. As you exhale, plant those hands, and we're going to step the right foot back to the back of the mat. Drop that right knee down. We're moving to lizard lunge, so walk that left foot off to the left side of the mat as you bring the left hand inside of the left foot. You can use blocks here to support this shape if you would like. Or if you want to go a little deeper, you can bring this down to the forearms and roll to the outer edge of that left foot. Allow the knee to move away from the body. You can always take the forehead down into the thumbs. Long inhale. And controlled deep exhale. With every inhale, imagine you're filling yourself up with your ambitions, with your goals, with your dreams. And with every exhale, just like the waning of the moon that's going to start to occur after it's full, we start to let go of those things that aren't going to contribute, that are toxic, that are kind of a waste. On your next exhale, push into those hands if you're on the forearms. Bend the right knee. I like to flatten my left foot from this point. You can still stay on the outer edge of the foot if you would like, but reach that left hand back. If you need, you can take a strap to help hold this, or if you have the foot, you can start to pull the heel in towards the glute. If you don't have the foot or a strap, just keep moving that heel towards the glute and reach the left arm back. No grabbing necessary. Keep the heart lifted, and now rotate the left shoulder a little bit more open so that that torso starts to open up to the sky. Slowly release that left foot. Bring the left hand back inside of the left ankle. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee. Push the earth away and get buoyant in those hips so that they're not just sinking down. And do this a couple of times. And on your next inhale, start to straighten through that left leg. You can, again, use blocks here if you need. And then dive the left rib cage inside of that inner left thigh. Let the crown of the head melt down towards the blocks or the mat. Keep the back heel lifted. If the left leg doesn't straighten all the way, that's okay. Work it towards straight. Keep pushing down into the ball of the left foot. Straightening out through the legs, tightening up through the quadriceps. Remember, there's always a purpose for the effort we're putting forward. Take a small bend to that left knee and let's step that right foot forward and sink down into our yogi squat. Hips move towards the mat. Maybe you use a block to sit up on here. Elbows inside the knees and the palms together with the thumbs at the heart center. Sit up nice and tall, straight spine. Hug the pelvic floor in. Pull the energy up through the midline and out through the crown of the head. Hands come down to the mat. I like to lift up my heels before I straighten through my legs. Heel, toe, the feet towards hip width distance and find a forward fold. Sway here a couple of times. Let go of anything that may have arisen in the spine, the neck, the back of the head. And then inhale, drive down through the heels as you rise up, stacking vertebra upon vertebra. Head will be the last thing to lift. Mountain pose, big toes come together to touch. Crown of the head straight up, shoulders away from ears, palms out, strong like a mountain. Inhale, arms up. Go ahead and grab a hold of that left wrist and reach that left fingertips over to the right as you jet the left hip out. Rotate the left shoulder up towards the sky so you're not caving into the heart. Now expand all the way from the left hip out through the left fingertips. Work in that side body. And inhale back through center. Exhale over to the other side. Push down through that right foot. Lift up out of the right hip. Rotate that right shoulder up. One more breath, a little deeper. And inhale back through center. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, be particular here. Be purposeful as you halfway lift and feel the spine move into a flat shape. Exhale, round and undulate yourself back into your forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And one more time, fold. Hands come to the mats. We're going to lift that left foot up and step it all the way back to the back of the mat. Right knee bends, sink down onto that back knee, and walk the right foot off to the right side, right hand inside the right foot. Lizard lunge, you can stay here on blocks or on hands, or you can take it a little deeper, roll to the outer edge of that right foot, let the knee open up, drop down to the forearms. Maybe the forehead comes down into the thumbs. And every exhale, pull those hips into a little more depth, pushing you to your threshold, that point where you feel like you can't go further, but you're not in pain. We may have some discomfort, but discomfort is what lends itself to growth. We don't want to go to the threshold of pain. We want to go to the threshold of discomfort. I think that Virgo teaches us this well. It's that it takes the work, it takes the service, it takes the dedication. And it's a quiet service, it's a quiet dedication that doesn't often get recognized. Let's come onto the hands. I like to flatten my foot for this part, but you can stay on the outer edge, bend that left knee, reach back with the right hand for the left foot. If you have it, you can grab it and pull the heel towards the hip. Otherwise, you can use a strap, or you can use nothing and just keep reaching back and pulling the heel towards the glute. Now rotate that shoulder up so that the torso starts to come up a little higher towards the sky. Virgo is this quiet kind of effort, like I was saying, and it goes unnoticed. And so sometimes it takes a little deeper digging to realize what have we planted and what is coming to culmination. One more inhale. And then exhale with grace and control. Lower that foot down. Right hand comes back inside of the right foot. We're going to tuck the back toes. And we're going to lift up into some buoyancy of those hips so that the hips are light. And then lower it back down. Get a little bit light here. Feel the energy enter into that right leg. Lower down. And then as you inhale, we're going to straighten through that right leg. Left heel stays up. We're going to sink the right rib cage inside the right thigh. And just surrender where we can here. On your next inhale, gaze forward. Get bouncy in that right knee so you can step the left foot up to the top of the mat and sink those hips down into your malasana, your yogi squat. Keep that spine nice and straight. Let the energy flow all the way up from the root to the crown of the head. Hands to the mat. I like to lift my heels up before I straighten through my legs. Forward fold. Bring those feet about hip width distance. And this time glide the palms face up underneath the feet so that those toes meet the backs of the wrists or the inside of the wrists. Inhale, straighten through the elbows. Lift up through the chest and exhale. Bend the elbows out as you pull the heart towards the shins. Inhale, halfway lift here. Push down into the toes, into the hands. Straighten those elbows. Exhale, bend the elbows out and fold. One more time. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, fold. Slowly release the hands from underneath the feet. Go ahead and dive down into the heels as you engage those inner thighs towards one another and rise up vertebra by vertebra, nice and slow. Feel each vertebrae stack and lift those arms up overhead as you lift the heart, lift the chin. Exhale, hands down through the heart. Let's move into Virkasana, tree pose. You may want to find something steady. Maybe you have a chair, maybe you have a wall or a bookshelf. Something to help with the balance here. We're going to start on the left foot, so spread all 10 toes, or all 5 toes, I guess, on one foot. Nice and wide, and find a wide base with the foot. The big toe mound, the little toe mound, and right in the center of that heel. Now we're going to lift those right toes, and possibly we send that right insole into the ankle, the calf. Maybe we send that heel all the way up towards the pelvis, and we push the inner left thigh into the right sole of the foot so that there's equal pressure between foot and thigh. Hands come to the heart. We ground down through that left foot, nice and strong and foundational, which is what Virgo loves. We love this grounded feeling of Virgo, very solid. but also able to shift as a mutable sign between the balance. We can balance with Virgo here. Maybe those hands come over your head. Or you might even find a swaying tree where the hands start to dance. The arms move around. Breathe into the strength that it takes to be solid, to be foundational, but also to be able to shift and dance with the shifts that come, with the balance that's needed, especially in these really tiny little balancing muscles that we have. One more inhale, and then exhale, release that right foot down, and shake that left foot out. Let's start with that right foot now. Spread all 5 toes nice and wide and find that strong foundation between the ball of the foot, pinky, the big toe ball of the foot, the pinky toe mound, and the center of the heel. Left sole of the foot either comes to the ankle, the calf, you skip over the knee. Maybe you send that heel all the way up to the pelvis, and you start to push the ankle and the thigh towards one another, so there's this nice strong equal pressure here. Hands can stay at the heart center, or maybe you start to dance with it, maybe you bring those hands overhead. Breath is fluid. I love the way that Virgo is such a solid, grounded sign, but does have that ability through its mutability to shift in ways that it needs to shift. It can dance with the balance of life. And I think that that's really even important in the myth of Demeter and Persephone, that Demeter and Persephone bring that balance between death and life, between spring, summer, and fall, winter. Keep pushing down. Where do we need more balance in our life? Where can we use more of that Virgo nature of mutability to shift and dance with what life has to bring us? Take one more inhale, and then exhale, nice and slow, release, and shake out that right foot. Come back to the top of the mat. Big toes touch. Inhale, arms overhead. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, both feet come back. High plank. Lower it down, knees, chest, and chin. Elbows come alongside the rib cage. And let that throat open up. Let the heart open up. You can hug the heels in towards the glutes here if you would like. You can even grab back for the ankles. Wherever you're at, slowly release. And swiggle those hips down to the mat. Inhale, peel the heart up. Exhale, lower it down. Baby cobra, peel the heart up. Exhale down. One more time. Inhale, peel and hold here. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Keep the weight very light in the hands. And then push into that right hand and left hand and start to roll to the left side of the body for a nice side stretch here. You can extend the left arm. You can keep that bent slightly or even come down to the forearm. Let's step that right foot in the center of the mat. Toes point towards the side. And then that right hand can just rest gently on top of that right knee. Push down into both feet, the edge of the left foot and the solid base of the right foot. As you lift those hips up towards the sky, right arm goes up and over the ear. Now lift that right foot up and stack it on top of the left side plank. Right hand goes straight up to the sky. Right hand down. High plank. Lower down knees, chest and chin. Wiggle those hips all the way down to the mat. And inhale, peel the heart up, baby cobra. Exhale, lower it down. Inhale, peel it up. And down. Last time, inhale, peel that heart up. Push the hips down into the mat. Keep the weight light in the hands. Squeeze those shoulder blades. Use the strength of the backside body. And then right hand plants, push into that left hand to roll over to the right side. Length from the entire right underside body here. Left foot steps into the center of the mat. Left arm rests gently on top of that left knee. Take one more inhale. And then as you exhale, push into the outer edge of that right foot, all the way into the left foot. Lift the hips, reach the left arm up and over the ear. Let's pick up that left foot and step it back to stack on top of the right foot. Lift the left arm up to the sky, side plank. Left hand comes down, rotate onto the toes, high plank. Knees, chest and chin. Wiggle those hips down. And inhale, peel the heart up. Take the hands behind you, clasp the hands together. Pull the fist down towards the heels as you lift up through the heart space. Push down through the toes. Push down into the hips and breathe here. Inhale. Full exhale. Inhale, pull the fist back. Exhale, keep everything where it's at except the hands. Let those go. Reach the hands up over your head for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Drop the hands down below the shoulders. Push into those hands and straighten up through the elbows as you pull the shoulder blades down the spine and pull the heart forward. So you may not fully extend through the elbows, and that's okay. You should feel no pain whatsoever in the spine. Instead, imagine like the hands energetically drag back towards your hips, which causes the heart to levy forward. Next, exhale, lower it down. Push into the hands, push into the knees, and send this back to Balasana. Hips down to the heels, child's pose. Let the rib cage fall in between the thighs. The forehead lands to the mat. The arms are long out before you. On your next inhale, lift up just slightly so that you can glide that right arm underneath the left arm and bring the shoulder and the side of the head down to the mat. Keep the knees or keep the hips low. So not your traditional thread the needle, but instead more of a child's pose thread the needle so that those hips are still very close, if not touching the heels. Let yourself sink a little deeper into that right shoulder space. And then release so that that right hand comes back out in front of you. Keep those hips low. Glide the left arm underneath you so that you can land on that left shoulder, left side of the head. And let every exhale send you a little deeper into a space of surrender so that you can sink deeper into this embrace of gravity. Almost like you're in quicksand, and every exhale you start to get sunk more and more. But like you can breathe in the quicksand, so you want this. There's no fear. Next inhale, let's release. And this time, we're going to take that right hand over to the left. Again, keep those hips low. And the left arm over to the right so that the arms are crisscrossed. Lower down onto those forearms. And then lean forward until you start to feel an opening or a lengthening sensation in the shoulder. Or maybe both shoulders, or maybe no shoulders. Maybe bring the head all the way down to the mat. The hips do lift now in order to get that forward lean. So we have some weight in our arms. Drop the hips back, and let's switch it out so that that right arm now comes in front, the left arm comes to the back, unless that's how it was for you to begin with, and then just switch it so that the cross is different. And then again, yes, find that forward lean until you start to feel something in the shoulders, placing weight in the hands, in the forearms, in the elbow. And bring this back. Rise up. Shrug out those shoulders, roll them forward, and then roll them back. Roll the head, loosen up any tension that may have occurred in the neck. Ooh, get some torso rolls in there. And some freedom of movement. Because even though Virgo is a very grounded sign, that mutability makes her very fun. You may not catch that at first. But with enough time spent with the archetype, you will see that beyond all of that perfection, beyond all of that practicality, there is a really fun spirit to Virgo. All right, so let's bring Nadi Shodhana into our breath, meaning the alternate nostril breathing. This is a balancing breath, so we'll start to balance that feminine and masculine quality, the Yinga and the Pingala. We're going to start to bring ourselves into a state of unity or balance here in the center line. You can sit for this. You can lie down if you would like also for this. What we do is we're going to take our thumb. It will be the finger that closes the right nostril. We then take our ring finger, and that is the finger that closes our left nostril. You can take those two peace fingers, and you can place them on the third eye point. But more traditionally, we take those peace fingers and we place them on the thumb pad. Set your hand up so that you have ring finger on the side of the left nostril, thumb on the side of the right nostril. I like to take Jin Mudra with my left hand, place my left hand on my left knee, take a big inhale. As you exhale, close out that left nostril and exhale through the right side. Bring the eye gaze up to the third eye point with the eyes closed. Inhale through the right nostril. Close the right nostril, and we're going to hold the breath here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Open the left and exhale. Keep that gaze at the third eye point with the eyes closed. Inhale. Close the left and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2. Exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Hold and close for 5, 4, 3, 2. Open left. Exhale. Inhale left. Close and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2. Open right. Inhale right. Close and hold. As you're holding your breath, I want you to release any tension you're holding on to in the body. Just because you hold the breath does not mean you have to hold tension in the body. Open left and exhale. Inhale left. Close and hold, but release the tension in the body. Open right, exhale. Inhale right, hold the breath at the top. Open left, exhale. Inhale left and hold at the top. Let the shoulders relax as you hold the breath. Let in between the eyebrows release as you hold the breath. Open both nostrils and exhale. Inhale. One more time, exhale. And let's go ahead and set ourselves up for a supported bridge pose. I don't know how, you probably will want 2 blocks. I have 3, but I only need 2. Keep the other block close at hand. We're going to start to bring ourselves down to our spines. That was not very Virgoan of me. I did not have any of that together just now. All right, let's push into the heels. Lift those hips to the sky. Place your block either on lowest, medium, or highest height directly underneath your sit bones, so that as you let the hips land down onto the block, you're very well supported by the block. Now, option to keep the knees bent, or if you want a little more length in the tops of the thighs and the psoas and the quadriceps, you can extend those legs out, heels down to the ground. Let your upper body and the back of the head melt down towards the mat. Let the shoulders release. The hips are heavy against the block. The mind is observing the body's reaction to the pose, to the breath. And see if there's anywhere that you can observe that you might be holding tightly to something. And use the breath to let that go. Almost like if you were exhaling and blowing a balloon away from you when it moved away. And so too, anything that you're holding on to that
isn't serving, isn't benefiting. Use that exhale, blow it away. All tension releases. We surrender to the shape. If the legs are straight, go ahead and bend those knees. Take a hold of your block. Keep your hands on your block as you pull the knees in towards the chest. They're not going to come super far into the chest because we don't want to tip the block over, so we want to keep that block foundational. And now either keep the knees bent or extend those legs up for a supported shoulder stand here. If the block feels firm against the mat and you don't have any hesitation that it's going to fall over, you can release the hands. Otherwise, just keep holding that block steady. Two more breaths. Let your mind be still and focused on this present moment. If the knees aren't already, bend them. Place the feet back down onto the mats. Push into the feet. Lift those hips up. Remove that block. You're going to want to sit up to set up for supported fish. So in supported fish, we take our first block right below the shoulder blades. So it's not above the shoulder blades or at the shoulder blades. It's not on the low spine. It's not on the mid spine. It's literally right below those shoulder blades. I personally prefer my block to be going sideways against the spine, not lengthways with the spine. I think this way is terribly uncomfortable and just does not support me as well. But you can play around with the blocks as is suitable for you. So we place the first block down and then the second block for the head somewhere up above the block. We're going to start to lower down onto our forearms so that we can adjust this block as necessary. Remember, right below the shoulder blades, start to collapse the body over that first block. My second block was set up pretty much perfectly for my head. Yours, you may need to adjust. You also may want to adjust the height depending on how much of the cervical spine you want to get into this. I like mine at same height, but you can go lower height, you can go higher height. Once you have landed, you can bring the soles of the feet towards one another and let the knees fall towards the mat for our Baddha Konasana in reclining shape. Or you can let those legs out before you. You can bend the knees. If you're close enough to a wall or something that you can set the feet up onto, you're welcome to do that. And let the body drip here deeper and deeper into release over the blocks as you open up and expand through the heart, through the chest, through the ribs. And during this full moon in Virgo, maybe you give a little acknowledgement to where you've been. Not focusing on it, not grasping at it, not clinging to where you've been, but just acknowledging the seeds that have been planted, acknowledging the moves that you've made behind the scenes. Acknowledging the work you've put in, the service you've dedicated. Acknowledging the purpose, the intention. And then anticipating, not clinging to, not attaching to, but just anticipating the direction forward. The shift from death into life. The shift from stillness, sleep, quiet doing into assertive action, wakefulness, strong ambition, trailblazing. You can stay here as long as you would like. Thank you for practicing with me today. When you want to come out, you're going to push into those elbows, into the forearms, lift the head, lift the upper body, and then remove the blocks from below you.